So no matter how easy or how complicated the problem is, we always do the same exact thing. It might have one step, it might have 20, but it's the same exact step no matter what, no matter if it's a decimal, a fraction, a whole number, does not matter. So the basic problem that we always start with is x plus 5 equals 10. Super easy, right? But it's the same concept no matter how hard anything is. We want our letters on one side, we want our numbers on the other side, no matter how complicated it is. So how am I going to get this number over here? They're adding 5, so I subtract 5. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. What's left on this side is x, and then what's left on this side is a 5. That is algebra, no matter what. The other thing we can do is x minus 5 equals 10. They're subtracting, so I add. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. What's left on this side is x, and then what's left on this side is 15. Another type of problem we will have is when we have a number. It doesn't matter if it's a fraction, it doesn't matter if it's a decimal, it doesn't matter if it's a whole number, but it is attached to a letter. So to get the letter away from the number, we do the opposite. They're multiplying, so we divide. Anything we do to one side, we do to the other. X equals 10. If I have x over 5, they're dividing, so I do the opposite. I multiply. This cancels each other out. What's left on this side is x. What's left on this side is 250. Obviously, it's not going to stay this easy, but this is the step. So you might have something that looks like this. So it's a combination of something like this. You still do the same exact thing. So they're adding 5, I subtract 5. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. This cancels each other out. What's left on this side is x over 5. What's left on this side is 5. Now I ask the question again. They're dividing by 5, so I multiply by 5. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. This cancels itself out. What's left on this side is x, and then this is 25. It doesn't matter if I have a fraction or a decimal. So if I had 2/5 x equals 5, they're multiplying by a fraction, so I use the reciprocal to clear it out. The reciprocal means the numerator becomes the denominator and the denominator becomes the numerator. This cancels each other out. What's left on this side is x, and then this one I just multiply across. 5 times 5 is 25 over 2. So that is the basics. Now, it's not going to stay that easy, so it'll look like something like this. So first we have to distribute because this 2 is touching the parentheses. So this goes 2x, this goes plus 5 times 2, which is 10, equals 10. They're adding, oh, I can't. I have to make this a different number or it's going to clear itself out. They're adding 10. I subtract 10. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. What's left on this side is 2x equals 8. Now they have a 2 touching an x. They are multiplying, so I divide. Anything I do to one side, I do to the other. And I just keep doing that no matter how complicated the problem is. It always, always, always goes back to these 4 types of problems. Are they adding? Are they subtracting? Are they multiplying? Are they dividing? And if it's a decimal, we just work the same way. If it's a negative, we work the same way. If it's a fraction, it's the same exact thing, no matter what. Now, for some of the problems, they're not going to have an equal sign or an inequality sign. That means if they do have one, then we solve for the x or the p or whatever it is that they're asking us to solve for. If they do not have an equal sign or an inequality sign, that means we're just combining like terms. So for homework, I'm giving you both types of problems, and you'll have to figure out, are you combining like terms? Where's my highlighter? Or are you solving the problem? And you'll know that if they have an equal sign or an inequality sign. So for homework, I am going to give you these problems right here. If it's a fraction, use a reciprocal. If it's a decimal, work with it the same way. If the number is touching the parentheses, which this is, it just means that it's right outside, you distribute. Remember those rules, and this should be pretty painless for you. It doesn't matter at all. Like, this looks crazy, right? 3/4 times 8. It's not. All it means is 3/4 times 8 over 1. Not a big deal. It just looks crazy. Do not be intimidated by it. You are a boss. You are a beast. You do not need to let fractions throw you off your game. It is 100% fine. This turns into the number 6. This whole big problem looks like crazy. This part turns into a 6. So just work with it and try to do little by little, step by step. Go back to the basics. What are they doing? I do the opposite. I don't care if it's a fraction or a decimal. It's totally fine. If it does not have an equal or inequality, then I'm just combining like terms. If you remember that and you take it step by step, you will be 100% A-okay. Do you have any questions?